Before we start, I'd just like to recognize that Rich Davison, our vice chair, passed away last week. And as a matter of fact, the wake was this evening. We just came from there. So let's have a moment of silence in his honor. Okay. Thank you. So he left his chair empty, got his nameplate, got some flowers. So Rich is with us in spirit this evening. Member of the planning board for over 20 years. So he served the town well. He's a good guy. He did a lot of wonderful things with a lot of people, so he'll be missed. Thank you.
You're here. 20 years? Wow. Okay. Oh, sure.
We got two public hearings this evening. The first one is Spackin Partners LLC-2 Site Plan Waterfront Consistency and Potential Aquatic Resource Permit Review regarding proposed rehabilitation of existing parking areas, construction of landscape areas, new site access to Route 9, and relocation of the main building entrance and parking area in connection with reuse of an existing office building, 56 Enterprise Drive, 2467 South Road. It used to be the IBM Building 5, zoned IH Heavy Industry, District 23.84 acres, unlisted action, Spackin Partners LLC owner. Is the applicant here? Come up to the dais if you would.
Good evening. Jason Sobleski here, Spectra Engineering, and Chuck with Spackin Partners.
Chuck Gang, Spackin Partners.
I'll give you a brief overview of the project. It's been before the board before, however, we've made some changes. Since we've been here last, we've drastically reduced the parking area in the northwest corner. We've provided green space in that location. We've reduced the overall parking from 465 to 360. Also in that location, we're going to provide for fire protection access in the northwest corner, just the opposite corner where we're showing the trash enclosure down to the left, right where Chuck was pointing. That's going to be maintained during construction and post-construction. We're going to have a gate there to provide for future access. Also, we're showing two options for the force main. Option A, which Chuck is showing, goes right through the existing wetlands in the stream area. That option will require an access road to come in down to service the blow-off valve / clean-out area. That will be a gravel access road. It will be approximately 15 feet wide with a turnaround at the end. We're also showing option A, which runs along the existing access road. They both tie into the same location. That location will not require any sort of access road because the new sewer line is close enough to the existing road that's not necessary. We've decided to go with option B. We feel it has less of an impact on the surrounding area and less tree clearing. That brings me to the tree clearing on the site. Tree clearing will be required back by the pond location, back by the new access road we're constructing, and along option B of the sanitary sewer. And in front of the building, there's some large ornamental trees there. We're going to do selective clearing. The trees are going to be dropped on site. A representative from Aspen Environmental will be on site to choose the trees that need to be dropped for the bat habitat. Once those trees are selected and dropped, they will remain there until we have site plan approval. After we have site plan approval, we will go in there and remove the rest of the trees and proceed with construction. Another item is the traffic's coming in and out of the site. Most of the traffic will be using the new access road located next to Oakwood Commons. We have contacted New York State DOT and provided them an existing traffic impact study that was conducted back in 2008. They've responded saying that they need updated traffic counts. We've gone back to them with new updated traffic counts that were provided by Mazer Consulting. The results indicated that the volumes at those 4 intersections they want us to count are relatively lower than the 2009 build condition, which is the 2009 projected traffic plus the traffic generated from the 120,000 square foot existing building for intended use as office. We've submitted that information to New York State DOT. It's pending their review. However, Spack and Partners has agreed to change any or alter any single timing along Route 9 within those 4 intersections that they stipulated that needed to be reviewed. Brings me to the next point. There was some question regarding the remediation sites on the IBM complex. We've investigated further and determined that there's no remediation sites on the actual parcel. It's on adjacent parcels on the IBM complex. We verified this with contact with New York State DOT or New York State DEC, and they verified this condition through existing reports and mapping. The proposed lighting on site, we will adhere to the dark sky standards, and the previous lighting shown was a little hot in some areas. With the hot spots, we propose reducing the wattage and installing a few extra light posts, and that will be submitted at a later date. Easements on the property. Spectra is currently looking into the easements. We don't anticipate any issues with the route of the new sanitary sewer at this point in time. And those pretty much wrap up the outstanding or new additions to the plans and alterations that were done since the last submission to the planning board.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. I hear a motion to open the public hearing. Second. Moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Anyone in the audience sign up? 7-0. Sorry. 7-0. Yes. Anyone in the audience sign up to speak on this particular application? Doesn't appear there is. Okay.
I move we close the public hearing.
I want to discuss that a second. I'm not sure where we stand on this. If we're going to do anything this evening, are you guys? I know you've read through it. I'm just trying to feel out the board whether I should close the public hearing or leave it open because we're going to have it for.
I agree.
Well, no one's here to speak on the subject.
Specific date or what?
Well, we could leave it to the next board meeting. Because I don't think the application is complete. That's what I'm getting. That's the feeling I'm getting from the board. Right? We agree? Okay. So why don't we adjourn the public hearing to a date specific, being the next planning board meeting, which would be April 20th. Okay? April 20th.
So moved.
So got a second? Moved and second, we adjourn the public hearing until April 20th, 2017. Thank you. Eric?
Sure. The application, which was last actually discussed by the board last November, doesn't involve any change to the building, but it mostly has to do with site occupancy of the existing building and site improvements. They've pretty much done everything that the town has asked them to do as far as reducing the parking, increasing some green space. They met and moved the sewer line to a better location from the point of view of the town. They've provided a lot of landscaping. They agreed, as Jason just described. It sounds like they have proposed to the tree removal as recommended by Aspen, and also they've also committed to the option B sewer line. So I'm not sure that the plan will substantially change from as you see it. Probably the most complicated thing remaining is the easements, which are mostly existing on the property. So that said, there's a lot of cleanup items remaining on the board, a lot of changes yet to be made to the plans. So the staff recommendation had been to do a seeker neg deck and a conditional approval. If the board is not prepared to do that, then of course you could determine the application is, you would have the option of completing seeker or not. And then deferring the site plan. That's your discretion. If you feel like the application is not complete, then you should probably defer seeker as well. If you feel like there's enough information to make a seeker decision, you could do that and then make a decision about the plan.
Okay. Let me go around. Let me start with Peter.
First question for the town engineer. You feel, because of the nature of the site itself, you feel comfortable that it's going to be adequately drained and properly drained?
Yes, the pond up front has been designed properly and will mitigate the increase in the parking up front. The rest of the site is getting redevelopment credit, and they don't need to do anything there. So we have a few comments, cleanup type comments, but the SWIP's in pretty good shape.
Reading the comments from Aspen Environmental, it sounds like the applicant is going to be addressing those in terms of the tree removal, and the other issue was the photometric plan. It has been expressed that there's some concern by the county that it was way over what you really need, and we'd like to see something done, an adjustment to that to make it more palatable. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Before we go to Ben, Carol, I'd like to maybe from Aspen Environmental.
Okay. Basically everything that was said is in concurrence with the recommendations. As far as the remediation sites, they are on the downgrading on the IBM property, and all of them have been closed, so that is not a concern. Aquatic Resources, they have agreed to do, first of all, the option B. Option A really was not really so much of an option. Option B is much preferable due to the environmental impacts. And as long as recommended they flag the 25-foot buffer prior to going out there doing the horizontal bores. The horizontal bore will ensure that there's no wetland impact, and they're going to do that from outside of the 25-foot buffer. Is that correct?
Yes, we're going to flag the buffer zone, and before we do the tree cutting, we're going to go out there and flag the limits of disturbance so the trees could be selectively removed.
Okay, that's great. Make sure the silt fencing is installed properly around the wetlands areas before any of that is done. The selective cutting will take care of the concern about the Indiana bat habitat. Just spoke to U.S. Fish and Wildlife a few moments ago. If the 30th or the 31st of March is a hardship because of the 2 feet of snow, as long as you get it as close as possible to that time, they'll be happy with that. And that's because of just a compliance with the Endangered Species Act. Any potential bat habitat, and Dutchess County is a known hotspot for Indiana bat. So any potential bat habitat, if they're going to be removing the trees and it's potential bat habitat, if it's during the season, there's a possibility of taking a maternal roost. So it would be basically an unauthorized take. So by taking down the trees that are potential habitat prior to the time of their emergence from their winter hibernacula, that will compensate. But again, you've got a little bit of wiggle room now because of the snow.
That's good news.
But let me know when you're planning being out there. As soon as possible is really when they would prefer to have that done. And that's about it with it.
And I think we can pass a motion this evening that would allow you to at least cut and drop those trees once you identify them and so on within the specified time frame, so you at least get that piece of work done.
How many trees are we talking about, though? Is it a lot?
Well, the issue originally was it's actually more of a couple of acres of clearing if you're considering the access, the grading of the stormwater basin above and below it, and the new parking area. So it's a couple of acres. It's not a lot of habitat, but there are a number of snags in there, dead trees with defoliating bark. So those are the ones that we're interested in. Probably not, definitely not more than a dozen, I would say.
Not more than a what?
Not more than a dozen.
Oh, I thought you said 1,000 at first.
Or 12, whichever comes first.
There's not a lot of tree. Well, it's a treed habitat. Most of them are smaller.
It's a big evergreen area, right?
There are a number of evergreens, but there's
Whereabouts
also
is
a
it
lot
on?
of dying evergreens in there too, and those are the ones
Yeah.
with the exfoliating bark that they can. But it includes all the way from the end of the Oakwood, the entrance, because that's all treed in there, all the way to basically the stream corridor. So that's the area it's going to be cleared.
Yeah.
So it is more than a tenth of an acre. It's rather considerable. So we had to take into consideration the habitat.
Don, anything else you want to add? Since I
No, we're in pretty good shape once we've agreed to that option B, which the sewer department wanted for the sewer relocation. We're just a bunch of cleanup details.
okay, good, thank you.
I have one more question for Carol. Your report with regards to species and habitat, disagree with all the above statements?
From the habitat report from Ecological Solutions, including the only 1/10 of an acre of trees to be removed, no habitat, no trees. I went out to the site and there was.
So you're the person in charge now?
I can just agree or disagree with
Okay.
the evaluation, and if it was only 1/10 of an acre, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion because there'll be a couple of trees. But like I said, that's, as you see, it's the entire access all the way
Right.
over to the corridor, the stream corridor. So it's significantly greater than 1/10 of an acre.
Thank you.
We're glad you're on the job.
Thank you.
Carl.
I mean, you've already covered a lot of the issues I was concerned about, the tree removal, that force main. I guess the emergency entrance you said will be there from the IBM road, so that will allow IBM Assist, which is right across from there as well.
Right, at bottom left-hand corner of the drawing.
Okay, yep, that's, okay, I was hoping for that. And lighting that Peter mentioned. The only thing, other thing I was concerned about was what you're doing for the traffic conflict with the Oakwood Commons garage exit and your exit coming out at the same time. I think I read there's some stop signs going to happen there.
Yeah, basically at that intersection, there's going to be 2 stop signs installed, one regulating traffic coming out of the garage and one regulating traffic coming from the from Spack and Kill office building.
Okay.
So it'll be a 2-way stop controlled intersection.
Sounds good.
Yes.
as long as the traffic engineers approve that. That's all I have right now.
Thank you. Ben?
See here, you change the parking to 360 spaces, and it says it's in accordance with single office use at 3 spaces per 1,000 square feet.
Yes, that's
You
correct.
meet those requirements, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It doesn't say much about handicap parking. I see it's here with the van accessible and everything. Is that enough handicap parking?
Yes, it's
for that?
more than adequate for the number of spaces we're providing. We're providing about 19 spaces, where in reality, it's probably only maybe 4 or 5 spaces are required.
Okay, thank you.
You wouldn't get that idea from the size of the parking lot.
We were using the previous regulations that we had for handicaps parking.
We'll just let it go to April.
Just to piggyback on what Ben said there, I read.
Pull your mic down.
Oh, sorry. I read that you're going to change where the entrance is. Are the handicapped parking spaces going to be close to where the entrance is?
Proposed new entrance here, we have handicap all the way across the front. The old
Chuck, could you, Chuck, since this is recorded, we ask that you take the microphone with you. There's a handheld microphone there. Just give it a moment for the battery to take, and then try it.
Testing?
Yes, good.
The proposed new entrance would be facing Route 9 to the east. On this side of the building, directly across from it, is the majority of the handicap parking, this whole front row. The former entrance on the south side, there's also 5 or 6 more spaces over there to accompany that entrance, which gives us the total, the 19 that was just discussed.
Thank you. Ed, you have anything else? Do you have any more?
Yeah, one thing for sure, and why part of the confusion exists around the board, anybody that can read this, I give them a star. It's a very, very detailed plan, and to read it is almost impossible. Plus, that's the inversion of this, including the large print. So there is confusion here.
Oh, it's upside down.
That's right.
Right.
And what's the date of that print?
That's the date, I believe, March 12th, possibly. It's the same print that we sent to the town that shows the option A and option B.
6th. We don't have the latest print.
So,
I don't think.
well, can we get that cleaned up by the next meeting?
Did have it upside down.
It's March 6th.
That is?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of the comments from the TDE is to clean up a little bit of the drawings as far as some text over multiple text. So
Yeah.
we intend to clean up the drawings a little bit and make it more legible.
I mean, this is, to me, I thought it was a wetland area, and that's the B area, right?
Which area are you
Which you
referring
have
to?
labeled blue there, I believe, right?
That's the stormwater basin.
The blue is the stormwater basin. It's the pre-treatment and post-treatment.
Okay.
It's just shaded in blue.
Where is B?
Option B?
Yeah, it's up.
That option B is short towards the top of the page.
It comes in along with the access road.
4-inch force main, et cetera?
Yes, that's a 4-inch force main.
This was option A.
Right.
The begin point and the end point are still the same for both options.
Oh, it does.
Right.
Okay. There's no sign that says that. Just delineate, if you would, on the upcoming prints, exactly where B is, in terms of,
Ed, can we just remove A? Any reason to keep A?
Yeah,
Show the plan that everybody's is going to go
right,
with.
yeah, our intention is to remove A, because we're proceeding with option B as of now.
Right.
Jason, just a thought, since you're going to have to revise the plans and there's a concern about legibility, you might, I know it's a lot of work, but you might consider separating out a plan view of surface improvements separate from the separate from the plan and grading, because it's partly the grading and the easements and the plan changes all together do make it difficult. I can make it understandably difficult to read.
Right. Just for the purposes of this submittal, just for the presentation, we put option A and B and the grading on one sheet rather than having multiple boards. But we have a separate sheet for just the utilities that will
You
show.
can work with Eric on the types of maps we'd like to see for the next submittal. To try and complicate this one and make it a little easier for some of us to read. That would be very positive.
Is there a separate landscaping plan?
Yes, it's towards the back of the submittal. I don't recall which page.
As I recall, the submittal date was a couple weeks ago, and I think you've been submitting right up until the meeting. So it's kind of been hard to keep up with everything you've been putting in. All right. So I would suggest that we could do two things. Well, let me just finish with the questions, and I'll tell you what I got in mind. So, Rocco or
Just to clarify now, would option B for the sewer line, there's no need for that gravel access road anymore?
That's correct.
Okay. The pump station or whatever it is will be right at the end there or wherever it shows up?
Yeah, it's right at the old entrance, right where the parking lot starts in the upper left-hand corner.
Okay.
The road was actually put in to address the blow-off point in the line, so that's why that whole road heading in. By getting rid of that road, we can actually access the high point from the entry road coming in here. It saves all the disturbance.
I think when you're a couple months ago, you were talking about some outdoor recreation area. Is that kind of gone? I mean, you were talking about a basketball court or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, originally we talked about that at the end of the parking area that we made green. We wanted to leave the curbing and that off here, so for snow, winter, we can just plow over there, but gazebo, something for benches, just someplace for people to get out.
Sure. Okay.
We haven't come up with an actual design on it, but that was just a concept.
Okay.
will you show that on the next submittal, what you plan to do?
Sure.
Thank you. That'd be good.
Great.
They're going to store snow up there, but then they may have a gazebo or something for outdoor. People have to take a break, have lunch, what have you. Maybe, if it's okay with the board, to move this along, if we had a special meeting, if you would be ready in a couple of weeks, or you just want to wait till the 20th to get it all together, and we'll get it all done at that time.
Jason, why don't you give us a real time estimate of when you think you'd be able to work through the plans? There's a lot of things discussed here. So, and we would need to have it, I mean, actually, in thinking about it, the submittal date for the April 20th meeting is March 27th. It's only a week. It's only a little over a week away anyway. So, is that a reasonable turnaround time to get to the April 20th meeting? Or do you think you can get something even faster than that?
I don't believe it could be any quicker, but we'll try.
What is the rush?
Well, that was what I was going to ask. With all this going on, do you still have interest? Like, do you still have somebody that is looking to occupy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're on a timeline with them?
Yeah, there is a bit of a timeline with them on it. That's one of our concerns.
Okay, but I think we can get this all taken care of at the April 20th meeting. Okay. Once we have all the things corrected, a lot of those conditions, were corrected and so on, the list would be a lot shorter. I think you'd be perhaps hard pressed to get it all in a week. I mean, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I have no problem scheduling a special meeting, because obviously if you have a tenant, and we could love to see the building being used and get it online, but another couple of weeks, if you can get it all together with a plan that just everybody's can say, yep, we agree, it's all working. Your choice.
Well, I know there's a lot of comments to be addressed, but I believe the bulk of the items are taken care of or in the process of being taken care of. And it may only sound like a couple weeks for you guys, but Chuck is under the gun, and there's a possibility he might lose the tenant if this gets delayed any further. So any possibility of a conditional site plan approval would be appreciated on his
Well, I don't think
behalf.
we're comfortable doing seeker tonight.
Well, I have one last quick question.
Public hearing to the 20th of April.
Well, I just have one other. We have an engineer's comment here about the sanitary sewer. Based upon correspondence received in response to the secret lead agency circulation from Dutchess County Department of Health, dated November 22nd, 2016, the engineering approvals for this project are expired. Documentation of reapproval from the health department should be provided prior to site plan approval. Is that something that you're addressing currently?
Yes, we're currently addressing those items.
And when do you any way you can project how long it's going to take to reobtain those approvals?
I believe we can make that submittal back to the health department within a couple of weeks.
So you don't have them now? And you
No, we
have
don't.
you submitted?
But we couldn't do a site plan approval without it anyway.
Well, it's not unusual to have a site plan approval subject to health department approval. So, I mean, we wouldn't have required that in our office prior to, conditional site plan approval.
Just want to make sure that it's being addressed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's the pleasure of the board? I mean, do you want to, we can change our adjournment date to a date specific 2 weeks from tonight, if that works, for a special meeting?
I'm starting to feel conditional even.
Huh?
I don't know, conditional even tonight, or, I don't know, you still think there's still too many open items?
I'm just trying to get the flavor of the board. Do you think there's too many open switches tonight?
From what I'm hearing, it felt,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of open switches.
there's a lot of stuff to correct, but it sounds like they're addressing all of them, from what I'm seeing. But
I'm okay with the conditional approval. I mean, as long as all these are addressed. I mean, there are a lot of issues, but it doesn't look like they are, insurmountable.
You okay with that? All right. So then at that point, I would then go back to saying that we need to close the public hearing, okay, number one, and then go through the process of doing this with the conditions as stated this evening. Okay? I'll move that we close, instead of adjourning it till April 20th, we'll close the public hearing. That's my motion, close the public hearing from this evening.
second.
Then moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay. So,
You can use that if you want.
use that one?
Yeah.
I got one too, you know.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion that the planning board as lead agency determine that SPAC and Partners LLC site plan would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and that no environmental impact statement will be required for the reasons set forth in the secret negative declaration for non-listed action dated March 16, 2017.
Second.
Question? A second?
Second.
A question? All those in favor?
Question.
Aye.
Did we address the traffic impact on this site? And are
The-
you satisfied with it?
I'm comfortable that with Chuck's letter, the DOT had said the only potential impact was if the DOT said that certain intersections might require adjustments to the signal timing. And Chuck gave us a letter saying that regardless of DOT's evaluation of those signals, he would be willing to make such changes to those signals if required.
Agreed to do that. That's right.
I mean, it would appear there's going to be a large number of traffic cars.
That's why I was concerned about the exit conflicting with the garage, but putting the stop signs in there kind of guarantees that.
In the middle of calling a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Actually, that'd be a good problem to have if we had a little bit of traffic going in and out there. Good problem for them. Okay, I move the planning board determines that the proposed activity is consistent with the town of Poughkeepsie approved local waterfront revitalization program, LWRP, because it will be conducted in a manner consistent with such program.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I move the planning board's grant conditional site plan approval for the SPAC and Partners LLC, 2 site plans subject to the following, 1 through many. 1 through 12. You prepared to do architectural review?
I brought a rendering. We didn't want to get to it before you close the public hearing, but I have a rendering to pass around.
Hang on. So do we need samples of any materials? Did you bring samples?
We're not changing the building, basically, the architecture.
Okay, that's fine.
Just the entrance.
Through 12, obtain architectural review, plus all the things that we discussed this evening, tie up all the loose ends. Eric's got copious notes here that we need to take care of. Okay, call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, so just to recap what we did here this evening, we did adjourn the public hearing to April 20th. We now changed that, closed the public hearing, and we've approved seeker, the wetland, the waterfront revitalization, and we gave conditional site plan approval. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay, architectural review. So you're not really changing the architecture, you're changing colors or anything, or?
No, can I pass these out real quick?
Sure.
Eric, the photometrics are included in those conditions.
We can share.
They're willing to do more
Thank you.
and spread them out and reduce the lighting. We've done everything we've asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
I get that. Sure.
Oh, I don't.
Yep.
Here.
It looks a lot better.
He's got it covered.
Okay, sir. Building have a name?
This one.
You're gonna
2.55.
At the moment, no. Other than
Just 2, 4,
former
5.
IBM Building 5.
I know it.
Looking at that rendering, on the left side, that's the old, what I'm calling the current entrance to the building.
That's the south side.
Yes, the south side. Midway on the north side, or on the east side, we're putting an entrance in. The address is wrong on that. We don't know what the address is yet. Till we,
911 and all that?
yeah.
Okay.
This is the number they gave us 7 years ago, but they said it's no good anymore since the road wasn't put in.
Oh, with inflation, it's probably like 27.56
Yeah,
or something.
so,
Hasn't been any.
That's fine. So, well, if it looks as good as this, I'd be happy with it.
Chuck, could you just say something about the materials that appear in this image? Are those the materials and the appearance of the building as it is?
yeah, currently, the building has a 10-foot overhang on the first floor has a 10-foot overhang that has a stone veneer on it, like a river rock, which we tried to show in the rendering. The upper 2 floors, it's a white, like brick, faux brick or whatever. It's not a true brick veneer, and then the glass banding around it.
And so the glass banding and that front entry portico, those are all there today?
Well, the glass is there. The entry portico, that little arch there, is not, where the door's going to be cut in. So that arch, but that's going to be done to match the existing color schemes and all that.
It'll be made out of cement, concrete, block, or?
Possibly, if we're going to match the brick that's on there, it may be more of a structural with a brick veneer on it,
Okay.
steel.
We're going to have to see some kind of a detail on that once you decide what you're going to do. So work with staff on that.
Okay.
Okay.
What's your timeline on that?
What's your timeline on this?
If we're able to tie down the proposed client as quick as we can, and once we have approvals from the board here with final site plan, mad rush is the answer.
Is the client going to take the whole building?
No, approximately half the building, but it justifies turning the lights on and all the infrastructure work.
Good. That's all good
Gets the
stuff.
building online, yeah.
Chuck, the panel up top that has that address number on it. Is that panel there today?
No.
So that would also be a new element?
Yes, that would be the facade added on. So you want detail on that too?
We'll have a sign on it, or just a number, or you don't know?
The intent right now is just to have the
It
address.
could be a zoning issue?
It might be. I don't know. We'd have to.
If the zoning considers that a sign, that may become an issue.
The address?
They need a variance.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Work with staff on that.
Is there one of those panels on the building, or is there a similar panel with numbers on it on the
No,
other side?
that was the only proposed panel. Other than that, we're trying to make it big enough that people coming in would know or see it from Route 9.
Okay. Well, again, work with staff to see if that puts you into another, you needed some kind of a ZB approval because of the sign.
Are there any other changes to entry points in the building? Porticos or vestibules or?
No, they're existing.
Great, looks nice.
Okay.
I've got one other thing. Are there changes interior, I suspect? Are they going to be fairly extensive?
Yeah,
Is that going to affect your timeline?
The interior of the building's dated. It's from 1958.
Right.
Basically, it's going to be gutted. There's nothing in there, any wire or anything is of any real use. So we're going to take it basically back down to a shell and then fit it up for each proposed tenant based on their needs.
Again, what's the timeline approximately? 6 months, 4 months?
I wish it was 4 months. It's probably, by the time we get the building gutted and reconstructed, you're talking probably 10 to 12 months before we'd be able to look to try and
For
get...
this tenant?
Pardon me?
For this tenant?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's that much work involved.
So time is of the essence to get started once they sign up for it.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, I propose the architecture as presented, and I don't know what that green stuff around the building is, but I'm sure it's nice. Looks like it might be grass. That's good, huh? And you'll work with the staff on the materials and show us the final rendering of the archway and the entrance and
Absolutely.
okay, and the panel for the sign, should you decide to do that. Okay. So, do I have a second?
Second.
Call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I'd also like to make a motion that the board agrees with the Aspen Environmental and that it's okay with us that the applicant move ahead with the cut and drop of those trees that will be identified as potential roosting areas for the Indiana bats, so they can meet the requirements and get that done hopefully on or before, maybe slightly after, based on what you said, March 31st.
Carol, are you able to give us recommend a specific date for that? It's just going to be really hard to write a recommendation or do anything with something as vague as sometime around.
They said they give you some wiggle room. Should we give it a week?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, so by April
7th?
So if you would just contact me
Okay.
to
3 weeks.
schedule some time when,
The only question I would
let
have,
us know, maybe not.
All right, the 7th is 3 weeks.
the only question I would have would be, I don't know what kind of equipment you're going to have to bring in to take these trees down. I don't know if we're talking about 100-footers, or are we talking about stuff that you can walk in and cut down, or heavy equipment, or what?
No, this is just chainsaw, just
So you're going in with your chainsaw and do the thing, right?
They can't do any heavy equipment. They can only cut and drop.
Yes,
I know,
yes.
but
You just cut and
sometimes they come
drop.
in with something that goes around a tree
No, that-
at the same
oh.
time and so forth.
No.
And with this snow, that would be rather brutal.
No, there's no need to, they're really selective. A
Okay,
number of
fine.
them are snags, some white pines.
So you're dealing with stuff that's 12 to 24-inch diameter.
Yes, they're probably even smaller. Most of it's significantly smaller than that.
Good.
So
Regard-
easily cut with a chainsaw
Wait a week of
by hand, just going in
Did you say
there.
April 7th?
That saves the environment.
Well, I'm going to change my motion to indicate they have up until April 7th.
And no equipment, and no heavy
To do
equipment.
simply cut and drop, no heavy equipment, chainsaw type operation. Okay, that's what we approved when they did the hotel down here. They need to get,
Pretty much what Central Hudson did.
yeah, okay. And call the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, I think you got everything. You got a lot of work to do to get this stuff in, and so we can get the maps done and signatures and all that kind of stuff. So, Good luck.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
I
time.
think it's very positive for the community that the board saw its way clear of getting this done for you tonight.
We appreciate that.
Hopefully your submittals will be a little timely here so you can get moving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get that client in.
Cleanup item.
Okay.
Good result. Can I take anything of those, or do you want that?
Oh, you can.
Great.
Application number 2, public hearing number 2, 28 Manchester Road, truck rental site plan amendment. Site plan hearing to construct a parking area for up to 4 trucks behind an existing fuel station and convenience store in order to operate as a truck rental location, 28 Manchester Road, zoned ATC Arlington Town Center, .68 acres. JYOTI Gotti, maybe?
Joy-T.
Joy-T. Okay, Joy-T Incorporated owner. Joy-T. Got it. Hello.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Burns. I represent Joy-T Incorporated for the amended site plan at 28 Manchester Road. The original site plan was approved in 1975 for a Cumberland farm. A copy of that is shown attached to the map here. The applicant would like to take the existing gas station and convenience store and use it as a location to basically not to service any trucks or wash them, but to store and to transfer U-Haul vehicles. So people would be dropping off and picking up for that location. They anticipate that there won't be more than 5 actual vehicles on site at the time. If there are, they'll be moved to another location from.
Well, the application says up to 4. You're now saying 5?
I'm sorry, up to 4.
Okay.
Any extra will be moved to another location. The approved site plan says that it's a 2,400 square foot building. They provided 13 parking spots actually on the original site plan. We're going to rework those parking spots on the new site plan. Also lay out some traffic patterns for you. This is the proposed parking area here behind the building, the existing building now. Gas pumps are up front here, and this is Manchester Road. At the time this was approved, Manchester Road was also Route 55.
That's probably before your time.
Yeah, quite a bit actually. 4 years. 4 years before me.
Okay.
The configuration is originally proposed for the parking was to the rear of the building. I'm going to rework that with with more of a hammerhead type layout. It'll generally be less asphalt. I anticipate less asphalt behind the building than proposed right now. Probably pretty close to the same actually, but we're also going to propose a new refuge enclosure as well to go along with that. There are some questions about some fences. Right now, the fences, the post and rail fence located to the left of the parcel is actually not the owner's fence. Is located on the survey. And there's questions of the condition of the fence, and there's also the original site plan also shows that the 6-foot stockade or 6-foot chain link fence extends up to the front road line, which that fence actually stops, and there's egress from the existing parking lot next door, which used to be, I believe, a Grand Union supermarket. I think it's currently empty now, but there was a shared egress that goes through that area now.
Eric.
think that pretty much sums up
Okay.
most everything.
Aren't they currently, don't they have trucks there today?
Yes, they do. We've also been approved a use variance conditional of a site plan, amended site plan. They were operating as a U-Haul before, and I think that they actually might have been cited, and that's why this whole process started.
Because the zoning change? We can pull from ZBA?
Yeah,
So they approved it, ZBA?
but they approved it conditional, and among the conditions of approval were to obtain site plan approval.
Okay, good. Okay. All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. I have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Anybody in the audience wish to discuss or talk about this particular application? Seeing no one, I move we close the public hearing.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Eric, what
Probably also do
do you want to do?
this.
Okay, that's true. I move the planning board determine that it will conduct an uncoordinated environmental review of the proposed project as an unlisted action under secret. Do I have a second?
Second?
Good. Moved and seconded. Have call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Do the public hearing. We close the public hearing. Eric?
Did you want to say anything?
No, you don't really have to.
Good idea, Steve. We look forward to seeing the revised plan.
Okay.
Okay, so next, do lead agency?
We did that.
We did that, you're right. Okay, so I move that the planning board, no, let's see if there's any questions.
Thank you.
Don, anything?
Our only concern was the fact that there's going to be added pavement, and we wanted to see some sort of a drainage report to make sure that we didn't flood out the people next door.
I can include that.
Okay, great. Carl?
I guess I agree with the county's comment. Is there an issue, you're taking down these trees there in the back. Is there an issue with the screening, landscaping, the resident next door?
It's actually I believe that it's a residential dwelling that is used as a lawyer's office.
Okay.
That's true.
Oh, so that doesn't count.
It's still zoned residential, so it could be a house, so.
Do you know if there's
Fence there or anything?
residential
right now?
use above?
Is there residential use above?
Above the
Lawyer's office.
Is there an apartment above it?
They have driveway and that fence is owned by them.
So there's a fence there now.
I'll look to see what.
Just want to say, make sure there's no issues of the truck noise and coming in back, somebody's living right next door.
Okay.
And is this a small enough thing? Oh, Carol left, I guess, but the clearing of the trees here is not an issue. The bats.
I didn't. It's pretty much an urbanized area. I guess I would leave it to the board's discretion if you want to get her review. It's pretty much a residential area with a few trees along fence lines. If you are concerned about it with regard to seeker, then we could look into it.
Why don't we just pose the question to Carol?
Yeah.
Anything else, Carl?
No, that's it.
Okay. Ben?
The only thing I had was this note from the county about no landscaping plan. And they suggest screening on the east and south parts of the property. And maybe,
The east and south is actually the same parcel.
Sorry?
That's what we were just talking about.
The parcel to the east wraps around like two sides of the parcel.
Is that the hammerhead?
No, that's not the hammerhead, but more like a flag lot. It extends down this side of the parcel and around this area in the back. And actually, this parcel here is the large parking lot that used to be the Grand Union.
Right.
This parcel, I think, is like 3 acres, and it extends up to dead-end street, I think,
But it
that's
says
fenced
law
off in the back.
It said it's a law office at the moment.
Your question had to do with the landscaping.
Well, the comments from the county say.
Right.
County.
It doesn't include a landscape plan, so
There's no, right.
There's some planting
in the front.
up by the road, but I can't tell you what's there right now. There's snow right now.
Steve, can you, I guess my suggestion would be when you redo the plan, why don't you do a landscaping plan
Right.
that clarifies what's existing, what's to be removed, and what and where you are proposing new replacement landscaping or new screening landscaping.
Okay.
I mean, the reality is we have an opportunity here to improve the look of this particular parcel, and it's been kind of neglected over the years, so maybe we can get that, brought up to a little better level.
Okay.
I think that's what we would be looking for.
Agreed. Okay.
Okay. Ed?
From this parcel overview, it looks like there's a few little bushes with an entrance on each side of that for landscaping.
There isn't much.
My eyes have been trained to deal with small print.
Yeah, you're doing pretty well, actually.
At any rate, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the business. Self-serve, what's the security around the site once you got these trucks in there and all of that? Is it going to be a gated?
It's just the existing fencing is to remain. They're
Security
U-Haul
lights,
trucks. They're not. There's really not
security
much.
gate, nothing. Just, and it's self-serve, so you can come in at any hour of the day and help yourself to a truck. And
I believe that you can only drop them off at any time. You have to have someone there to pick it up.
I'd certainly like to hear a little more about what the operation is and what the hours of operation are and that kind of thing. I think it'd be worthwhile to understand that kind of thing. I mean, if somebody leaves if you go to Hertz, you can leave a car there and come back and pick it up when you're done. But I don't know what the story is here. So some of that might be useful to understand what the overall security factor is. You don't want to put the town of Poughkeepsie Police into any more work. So, okay?
Okay.
All right. Would appreciate it.
I mean, you've been doing it for years anyway, so you explain how the operation works. Right?
Okay, can you show me where the fencing is? Is it going to be all the way around here in the back? I mean, I can't tell from here, so I can't.
There's an existing wire fence in the back.
That's where that 70.1 is?
Yes, the line with the X's through it. It's labeled wire fence.
Well, I'm looking at this. I don't know where that is.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the site plan. I'm sorry. 70.1 is a wire fence.
Okay.
Along the parking lot, there's a grass or a tree, like a vegetated peninsula. You can see to the west of the site.
Okay.
That has a 6-foot chain link fence to the end of that vegetated area, and then there's egress from one parking lot to the other towards probably the front 50 feet of the site or so. Actually, the fence extends about 10 feet or so past the front of the building through that vegetated area, and then
I see it.
on the east side, there is a wood fence towards the rear of the site that comes up just past the front of the building, and there's also a split rail fence that is up by Manchester Road.
All right, so where the proposed area is, you've got a chain link and two wood fences, in essence.
There's a chain link fence to the existing commercial site next door, which is a parking lot.
Right.
The back is a wire fence,
Right,
and the other side is a wood fence.
Okay. Now, just so I'm clear here, it says you're saying parking for four trucks. In one place it says 5 trucks. Another place it says 4 trucks. Also, site for 2 cars parking. Is that those? That's not for a rental.
I'm gonna remove the 2 parking spots back there and relay out the existing site plan had 13 spaces. The ATC zone allows for 4 spaces per 2,000 square feet. I think that I was going to try to lay out 8 spaces so that we had sufficient to meet the new ATZ parking regulations.
Okay, and there's enough room to turn the trucks around back there to get in and out?
That's the, I'm going to rework that so that the trucks are actually pulled straight back along the side of the building, and behind the building there'll be an area with the refuse enclosure, and I believe there's some compressors for the coolers and stuff inside back there will dress up a little bit, and there'll be a paved hammerhead that extends behind the building to be used for just the trucks to be able to turn around when they get behind the building so they can get in and out of the parking spots.
Okay, and with the truck spaces in there, there'll be enough room for snow removal?
There'll actually be quite a bit of
tight back there.
There's going to be actually probably more area back there now than I show on the site plan for snow storage off the pavement.
Okay. I'd like to see the new plan.
I can delineate a snow storage area on the site plan.
It'll be good to do.
Steve, you know what I'm going to suggest is that when you work up a new plan, why don't you shoot it over and I could take a look at it, or maybe run it by a board member, and maybe if there's any questions, we could even meet you and your client out at the site.
Okay.
And take a look and see what's going to work and what makes sense.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good, okay.
I just had one more question with.
Peterson.
Just to follow up on Ed and Rocco's comments with regard to the parking. You're requesting parking for 4 trucks. You have 6 parking spaces, and again, you're going to have to address the way that the parking spaces are configured here because of the turning radius, and the spaces are only 10 by 35. So when you submit the new plan, I'm sure that those are things that you'll address. The other thing is, I don't know if you used the EAF mapper when you did the environmental assessment form. It casts a wide net, but you responded to one of the questions.
So we're deferring.
Does the project contain any species of plant or animal that is listed by the federal government as being endangered? You have checked off yes.
I used the mapper, I believe.
The EAF mapper?
Yes.
Just if you can identify what they're talking about, just so we know, just so we can check that off. I know I've used it many times, and I know they could be a mile away.
Yes.
But since you did check off yes, at least let us know
what endangered
what they're addressing there. Yeah.
Thank you. Carl, one more question?
Yeah, just, Rocco was bringing up all the fence issues. I just wanted you to clarify, are any of those fences owned by your parcel? Are they all owned by the other parcels? So do you plan to do anything with those fences? As far as
the only fence
changes to
that the survey shows is on the applicant's property is part of the 6-foot chain link fence
on the west side?
On the west side, and that's probably only about 40 feet or so. It kind of starts on one side of the property line and works its way to the other. Actually 4 feet in the back, and it's 0.8 feet in the front on the property. It's off 4 feet.
So it's very little is actually on your parcel. So you're not planning to do anything with the existing fence?
There was no plan to do anything with the existing fencing.
Any plans to do anything with the building as far as architectural changes or anything?
There was no plans for any architectural changes to the building as well.
Okay, thanks. That's all I had.
So you treat it like an annex? Like, do you have another U-Haul business that these trucks will kind of be sitting here and then you move them to another?
I believe that there's a larger U-Haul location on Route 9 by
Stop and Shop.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Stop and Shop. Right. There you go.
Okay. I thought so. I just wanted to.
I believe that they might actually service trucks and stuff at that location.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Thank you. I move the planning board determine the application is incomplete for seeker. Review and the planning board defer conditional site plan approval for the 28 Manchester Road site plan amendment subject to the following. 1 through 5 plus all the comments and the discussion this evening. with staff on those comments. And so when you come in next time, we can, hopefully get this thing approved for you.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and second. Call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I'd like to suspend the rules for any comments on any other agenda items. So moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anyone in the audience wish to comment on any other agenda items? Seeing no one, I move we resume the rules. Moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Site plan review number 1.
Quit.
No, I learned that last time. Okay, hello.
Hello, good evening, members of the Planning Board. Rebecca Volk of the law firm of Mackey, Butts & Wise for the applicant.
Hi, Rebecca. Long time no see.
How are you, Chairman?
Good.
Hello, Eric. As the board is aware, I believe the applicant and Mr. Mackey of my office were here last month regarding the plans for this parcel. The public hearing on the rezoning portion of it was opened at the town board earlier this month. That is being held open pending seeker determination at this board. Just a brief review. Our client, this is the former Duchess Golf Club site, is proposing a 10.5 acre rezoning to change it to the Highway Business District. The proposed use of what was formerly the clubhouse will now be office space. Given that background, though, there are no site conditions that will be changed.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Eric?
Sure. I think Rebecca stole my thunder. No physical changes, proposed rezoning. So for site plan review and approval, or for seeker review of the site plan and the zoning change, you have a Parts 2 and 3 EAF in your packets in addition to the previously submitted Part 1, and you have a draft negative declaration for your consideration. The staff are recommending that the board declare itself to actually be lead agency, in contrast with the board's typical action to declare and circulate intent. That's not necessary in this case because the town board is the only other agency and has already delegated their consent to the planning board. So you don't need to circulate. You can just declare that you are. And then staff is recommending that you waive the site plan public hearing. There will be rezoning hearings already scheduled. And if you're inclined to proceed with a negative declaration, after that, procedurally you should defer any action on the site plan until after the town board considers the rezoning.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Questions? Ben, anything at this point?
No.
Ed? Rocco?
I think I'm good right now.
Brian?
Good to go.
Peter?
I've raised this before. We have a site plan, an amended site plan, it's dated 2/7/17. You have an existing site of 139.2 acres. You're rezoning 10.5 acres, and you're showing, after zoning line change, 123.7 acres, when it should be 128.7. So I just don't want that 5 acres to float in one direction or another. So if you're going to submit to us or the town board, that number should be corrected.
Thank you. I will advise Chazen. There's a couple other tweaks that need to be made to the site plan, so we will include that in the amendments. Thank you.
Good catch. Carl?
I'm good. The owner explained the project fairly well last meeting.
Yeah. Good project.
Make a motion.
Sure.
Erica, if I read this right, we're going to do A, right?
That's correct.
I move the planning board declare that it is the lead agency to coordinate the environmental review of the proposed project as an unlisted action.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I move that the planning board waive a site plan public hearing in accordance with 210-151D.
Second.
Moved and seconded, the planning board waive a site plan public hearing in accordance with section 210-151D. Call the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I move that the planning board, as lead agency, hereby determined that the Equit LLC rezoning and site plan would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and that no environmental impact statement will be required for the reasons set forth in the seeker neg declaration for unlisted action dated March 16th, 2017.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, we'll call the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Finally, I move the planning board defer action on the site plan application pending town board action on proposed rezoning and subject to the following 1 through 3. That's it.
Yep, that's it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, call the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, nice seeing you.
Nice to see you too. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. I guess we could adjourn now, right? Oh. Harris College is here.
There you go.
Didn't recognize you. Okay, good evening.
We'll see if it goes. Good evening. First, let me just note my condolences on the passing of Rich. His service to this board and the community has left a very powerful legacy that we all will benefit from for many years to come.
Thank you.
Jeff Brackett, Marist College, here with Justin Butwell, John Ambiano, and
John
Andrews. John Andrews, sorry.
And Brian.
Oh, and Brian behind me, Brian Coons. Here to present information on our steel plant addition and renovation for our fashion program and our arts programs. Would like to start just with a project overview. We would like to add a 38,000 square foot addition to the existing studio itself and include 13,000 square foot renovation of the existing structure. This is the majority of this space will be dedicated to our fashion program, which, as you may know, has become quite well renowned and represents about 8% or so of our traditional undergraduate students. About 70% merchandising, 30% design. The current space is in Donnelly Hall, and it's not adequate for the needs of this program with the size of the student body and the work that they need to produce. So the key spaces in the project are going to be new studio entities, maker space for fashion and arts programs, including 3D printers, laser cutters, and a kind of a cutting-edge technology that fashion is putting into play now. Digital labs for fashion and for our digital media majors. An enclosed winter garden and cafe, and then also renovated areas for our arts programs, including sculpture, painting, and so forth. In addition, there'll be renovated gallery spaces both for fashion and for arts. This slide shows the view looking west from the Science Building Plaza. So this is coming down the spine of the campus. If you're familiar with our master plan, this is the east-west corridor that then goes under Route 9 on the right-hand side of that. And you can see our master plan and project architects, Robert A.M. Stern, have produced a combination of a 19th, 20th century style warehouse space along with a modern accent of that. And that was very conscious. It's working within the master plan palette that we'd like to use on campus, but also ties into the illustrious history of the region. And if you know the current space, the brick ties directly to that. The next slide gives you a view of the building heading north on Route 9. Carrying that same combination of traditional and modern architecture. It's worth noting just quickly that sidewalk access to the road there on the left-hand side that's an architectural whimsy. That's not part of the design. This is an overview of the first floor plan, and if you see just on you can see around the perimeter, especially on the east and the south, you've got classroom space that will be multifunctional. Rooms can combine with one another, and on the yellow rectangle there on the right-hand side of that design will be the enclosed winter garden. So this will be a space that's served on the north side of that by a cafe type of food prep area, and will be a very nice open air, 2-story covered atrium. The second floor includes then classroom space and office space. The vertical axis there is primarily office space there on the left and the top, and then the blue marks the student space. It also includes storage along the horizontal south area of the building, and you can see stair access down to the first floor of the winter garden. Along with this project, we are going to move forward at long last with 51 Fulton Street redevelopment. We would like to take this current facade that is very attractive in its own perverse way on Fulton Street and improve it. This is a very early proposed initial sketch. We'd like to open up the front. The idea here is to create a renovated warehouse, kind of a California-style warehouse that would let in some light and be functional in the short term for the art program, but also clean up that space and make it much more attractive for the region and for the Fulton Street corridor. The future building uses there, while in the short term will be for the art program, we would like to build it out with an eye toward future utilization. There's a nice kind of connectivity with the digital labs that will need to be put in for our media and arts program over the year while we're renovating and building the new space. And it will give us, we think, a good platform to then move forward with additional technology space and economic development offices. As you probably know, we're doing quite a bit of work with companies in the region to help leverage their technological ideas and provide cloud services for businesses who don't have the kind of technological power that the college has. And we envision that this space will be a home for that kind of enterprise development. And this is something that we spoke about initially with the county when we proposed taking over that space from them. The project scope includes parking lots on the east and west sides of the building and the renovation of approximately 15,000 square feet of interior space in this phase of construction, as well as landscape along the Fulton Street side of the building, the facade renovation, and then a pedestrian crosswalk and traffic calming on Fulton Street as well. It's worth noting just on the parking that a number of the spaces that will be added as part of this project are a net benefit. We're actually adding spaces that we don't currently need. This space on the east side of Route 9, this new fashion home, does not bring any additional students to campus. It simply gets them out of Donnelly and into a space that's commensurate with their programming. And as we renovate 51 Fulton Street, we'll be able to add 70 spaces. And if you net that against the 12 spaces that we'll need with the expansion of the building, we're actually adding 58 parking spaces with no net additional cars on campus. Part of the reason that we're able to do this, and I guess I should say that that's kind of a chit for future development down the road. We changed, as you may recall, our parking policy in 2015, where we upped the number of credits that students would need in order to bring a car on campus. And after the initial outcry, all was calm in the realm of Marist. And the net result was about 370 or so fewer cars per year on campus. So that has also coincided with a very interesting trend that many students are coming to campus and wanting to reduce their utilization of private cars. Parents are also happier not to provide those cars. And what we've done is we partnered with a company called Zipcar. I'm sure you're familiar with them. We have increased the number of Zip cars on campus. It's driven by student utilization. In addition to that, we're also adding a bike share program that's coordinated by Zipcar, and we're working with the county, in fact, to coordinate bus routes and things along those lines. So we think that the long-term trend for this, I think, is going to continue to sustain itself. But nevertheless, we're interested in making sure that we have at least a minimum of parking required, and in this case, as an example, we want to provide additional swing space. And that concludes the overview. Happy to hand it over to John to walk through some of the design, the landscape.
No, we're done with that. Now we go to old-fashioned paper and board.
Oh, the ones we can't read. The ones we can't read.
Well, you all should have one in front of you.
That's for you, Ed. Come on.
Just to orientate everybody, in this corner of the site plan, this is the brand-new science building. This is the science courtyard. Beck Place comes down. If you remember, Marist College acquired the southerly portion of Beck Place. We were before you back in 2011. We did some parking modifications, landscaping enhancement, kind of created that south end just south of the steel plant when we did the underpass. We're now going to be undoing some of that. As you can see, this faint building in here is the existing steel plant. The addition is to the south, the east, and a portion to the north. That's expanding out into that major concrete walkway that we had to get to for the fire department to access all the way to the end. As Dr. Brackett said, we are losing approximately 12 parking spaces here. We are reconfiguring the walkway. We've met with the fire department. We're providing them. They don't like to turn around on Marist College campus if they don't have to. They don't like to back up. And with our student population, we don't like to have them back up. So we're going to give them a route all the way out so they'd be able to pull in and drive out. The fire district has been kind enough to allow us to kind of keep that size down to 12 feet rather than the standard 14 to kind of discourage other people from going in there because it's really just going to be a through road. We're proposing something, this will be a gated entrance here. It'll probably be a wood and steel kind of park-like gate to give it a little nicer atmosphere. We're going to create a pedestrian walkway in here. The potential is for a sculpture garden. If you're familiar with there was a rather large berm that exists there that's heavily planted with evergreens. We are salvaging those evergreens to the best that we can, and we're actually going to relocate the berms to try to hide some of this concrete and screen the parking area so
So a lot of the berms will be moved down into this area. They'll be replanted in a similar fashion, probably a little dressier, but again, try to keep from looking directly up into the parking area. Ultimately, I think there are some plans in here for a sculpture garden. We have to be very careful. If you remember, the Route 9 right-of-way in that area is a rather hodgepodge, because it kind of is a little bit of a sawtooth, so we're trying to coordinate our stuff to stay out of DOT's right-of-way. DOT was kind enough that some of our sitting walls actually are on their right-of-way. That was part of the underpass process to try to keep people from using that sidewalk out there. As we move north, the main entrance to the building will be here. We'll be creating another substantial plaza heading to the north, heading to the spine, the Mary Marist College spine. There will be a connection, and there will be the ability of our students to come off the walkway, go either direction, either to science or this new facility. There'll probably be some congregation space here. We'll probably build in a sitting wall, much like we had on the other plaza. So it'll be a typical Marist open space in the front of the building. The parking lot essentially remains the same. This area will be left open. There's some thoughts for some gardens and other things, but that's down the road. As we move up Fulton Street.
John, before you leave
Yes.
that first print, where you have put in this walk or driveway for the fire truck, comes out the North Road there.
Yes.
What are you doing at where it comes out the North Road? Is it gated or chained or?
As part of this proposal, we're not going to do anything there because it does look, it's kind of moderate there. In all the problems that we've had, the gate seems to work better at this end, sir, because what happens is a lot of cars come through, and believe it or not, we get a lot of former Poughkeepsieites that say Beck Place used to go through to 9. So a lot of people actually drive in our road, and if you come back, you'll see them actually going around the circle and going out.
Yep.
So we decided to try to catch them here and not let them go. We don't get any people turning in this way because it does look like a pedestrian environment because of the way
It does.
So we felt it would work better up here. We toyed with the fire district. They agreed with us. They thought it worked better up there because they can just push that open and go. So that's why we left it up at that end. Good idea.
Okay, so it's just going to be kind of looks like a natural walkway rather than a drive-through.
That's correct, sir. That's why we asked for the reduced size also.
Okay.
The 14 tends to be inviting. The 18 that's there now is even more inviting. So by going back to the standard 12, it looks more like a pedestrian walkway.
Thanks,
That
sir.
still achieves our purposes of letting students walk, multiple students abreast, because that's always been our goal on campus. I think you're all familiar with 51 Fulton Street. That's the former County Resource Recovery Facility. Marist also owns the adjacent 57 Fulton Street, which is the paper company. And then across the street is our parking lot. As Dr. Brackett said, one of the things we're going to be ending up doing is increasing the IT portion of this building. So that will mean that we will need to connect to the Marist College Underground. One of the key points, and it will be bringing a direct connection from the Marist on-site system over to the building. We will require a license agreement from the town board to put that conduit and cables underneath the town road. We also will be building a new sidewalk across the street to bring students, again, from the spine in this direction. That will connect to all the improvements that we made out on Fulton Street. If you remember, I think they've worked out quite nicely. It's dressed the area up. We will be putting in a crosswalk. As part of this crosswalk, we will be enhancing the lighting on both sides of the road. We have met briefly with the town and the various individuals who have a stake here. We will be making some pedestrian signage improvements on both sides. We will probably be doing some restriping and some other things. We've reached out to Phil Greeley, who has been our traffic engineer in the past at Mazer Consulting. He is developing a plan. We will probably use some solar-powered flashing warning beacons and other things so that our students, because this is kind of like a mid-block crossing, we don't want, it's got great lines of sight, but the traffic still flies through there. So we're going to do our best to calm them down. As we cross the road, what we're planning on doing is kind of treating this all as one piece of property. We'll be getting some curb improvements and necking down that entrance at 57 Fulton. We'll be continuing the curbing down and creating a new entry, kind of relocating the entry that exists there, and all those multiple entries along the fronts will go away. Our intent here is to create, along this whole corridor, a pedestrian environment. So all the asphalt and the other impervious surfaces that are there will be coming out. We'll have a limited sidewalk, but this will be all grassed, landscaped, and planted. We'll be taking out the islands. The idea here is to put some street trees and other things. Again, the idea is to let people know that they're making a transition from that Fulton Street high-speed corridor into a more populated corridor. So that's all part of it. We will require a set of stairs to get us up there. There is an easement. I think you're all aware there's a steel recycler, metal recycler in the back. That is not Marist, by the way, but they do have an easement across our property. There is a fence that exists there now. We'll be using the existing gate. We'll be making some improvements, but also we'll be re-landscaping this front. The whole idea here is to kind of create a more pedestrian-friendly environment. As we go around the building, we're not going to be doing much. It's all paved today. What we will be doing is removing the scales, removing some of the old holdovers from the resource recovery activity, and then creating a parking space. There's about 40 some odd spaces on this site. There's an additional 30 some odd spaces here. I think the total shown on this plan is 72. We net out with the 12 lost to about 60 new spaces. We think they work. The back portion of this building will remain warehouse. This will be loading areas. There are already loading areas there. The same with this back portion of this building. And we really have no plans for 57 other than to dress up the frontage and make it look like part of 51. But all in all, we think it makes a good project. And again, the space is going to be flex space. We're not exactly sure. We know what it's going to be used in the short term, but not the long term. So we've kind of built this plan to encourage that. And I think that's where we are.
What's the total size of 51 square footage wise? It said that you're only going to be renovating about 15,000. I just want to get a perspective as to how much is the total size.
I'm not sure. I think it's around 45,000.
Okay. So about a third.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
That was a very good presentation.
Thank you.
I can tell you're excited about it. That says a lot about what you're doing. Okay, Eric.
Yeah.
And I guess you could talk to both of these together.
Yeah, the action
C3.
The action for each of them is the same. Marist has submitted these as two separate applications because, in fact, they can proceed both through the planning review process and also through construction as independently approved projects, not necessarily dependent upon one another. From the town's point of view. From Marist's point of view, obviously they are very related. So therefore, they've submitted separate applications. We've given you resolutions for each of them to declare and circulate for lead agency and then to defer action pending the establishment of a lead agency. I know that they want to move very quickly on the 51 Fulton Street project and with the steel because that's their swing space. So I expect we'll see that application coming back shortly. I'll leave that to them to address if they want to, and then followed by the steel plant.
My direction has been that I will be making a submittal so that you see us back in April at 51. So within 7 days, you will get a full submittal on 51. And then we will follow up thereafter. The architects are still fine-tuning steel plant studios. So we expect to make a submittal and be back to you in May with steel plant studios. There's two small elements, and they're not small elements, to steel plant studio that I neglected to tell you. Since we are now building our building into the former Beck Place right-of-way, we now have to relocate a town sewer system, a section of the town sewer main that ran through Beck Place, and we also have to relocate a Central Hudson gas main that ran through that same location, both of which cannot be under our building footprint. We have met with the sewer department. We've had some preliminary discussions with the town engineer. I think we have a good idea of what needs to be done. We're just trying to work out the details. We have worked with Central Hudson. The good thing is it's not a critical element to their system, so we can actually take it out of service, make our changes, put it back in service, because believe it or not, the north end is plastic, which is easy. The south end is steel, which is a little bit more complicated. So, but those two elements have to be done before we can even contemplate the building.
Okay, thank you. Actually, in keeping with Rich, I think he'd have probably said something to the effect that I guess sewer and gas kind of do go together.
Oh, yeah, that is Rich.
At any rate, okay. Thank you. That's excellent. So I never did the warrant application site review number 2, Marist College steel plant, just to make it legitimate. Steel plant studio, planning board to declare lead agency intent and site plan review. And as Eric said, we will defer that regarding construction of the 37,000 square foot 2-story building to the existing Marist College steel plant studio, complete renovations of the existing building, site modifications to existing parking, walkways, drainage, grading, utilities, and lighting, and consolidation of 4 parcels into 1 and 2 Beck Place and 63 North Road, zoned IN Institutional District, 3.59 acres. It's an unlisted action, Marist College and Marist Real Property Services owner. So, that all said, I'll just go around the board quick in case there's any questions. I think we can move this along pretty quickly. Start with Ed.
No, I'm familiar with the building. I know the site. The county had one kind of funny question regarding the steel, the new building. They asked about, there's 2 entrance exits on the west side of the building. The question was, are these emergency exits or what are they?
They're emergency exits. There's only one main entrance to the building.
Right, yeah.
Thank you. Rocco, anything else at this point?
No, I'm good at this time, thanks.
Brian?
Yeah, same. Very good.
Peter? Carl?
Just had a question. You mentioned the new plan has the food prep area. I don't know. Is there existing food prep in that building now, or do you need to put a grease trap in, all those infrastructure, I guess?
There is no food prep in that building. It is going to be a standard cafe. We're going through the exercise now of deciding whether or not we need an exterior grease trap. Okay. If we do, we've had conversations with both, again, the town engineer and Franco. We know exactly what they require. It's just a question of making it work. And to be blunt, the architecture, although is ahead of us in some ways, some of the fine details of inside are still not there yet. So until we get the final say, we won't know for certain, but we are contemplating it's going to be necessary.
Okay, thanks.
Questions?
Ben?
No comment at this time.
Ed?
I just said, I wanted to ask you about the roof of this. Is it a glass roof over the cafe, Winter Park, whatever it is?
Clear story, right? It'll be partially skylight, but mostly not. We'll have clear story windows to get light in there. You don't want to get it too hot inside.
Right.
I have to correct something on that question about the doors. There is an area where there may be a kiln outside, and that would be the access for the artist to go in and out to get to the kiln.
Probably the north one?
Yeah.
Did you say a kiln?
A kiln, yeah.
In all likelihood, maybe down in this vicinity here, tucked between Route 9, because it's kind of screened in there, so. But that, again, that's one of those details the architects.
It's occasional use, it's not.
Yeah. 4,000 degrees or something.
All right, okay.
That's going to be where they make their hot
Is it the old steel type? You can mail.
Anything else, Don?
I just want to mention one point, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, which would be at 51, keeping the students from deciding to choose wherever they want to choose to walk across by, we had that problem over at Dutchess, and it's pretty well solved these days, but it's not great. But, you've got a couple of open entrances and exits where vehicles will move in and out, but that also allows students to move in and out. But trying to channelize them or stop them from getting anywhere near the road the best you can.
Yeah.
Just,
You are going to close off a lot of those accesses to cars.
what we've done is, you're all familiar, that's been a common problem.
Give it a second.
It's been a common problem for us along this frontage, so if you know, we've kind of landscaped and made every effort to kind of direct our students. We have heretofore kept all our students off of Fulton Street to the maximum extent we could. We encourage them all to use the spine. That's why most of our access to Fulton Street is limited. Now that that sidewalk is there and some of our neighbors exist, but to Don's point, there is only one usable driveway from Marist out to Fulton Street, which is here. So we plan on, and when we set this up, to encourage students, if you've been out there, there is kind of a dip down to the building, and it's kind of, there's a little bowl in front of the building. We plan to do some heavy landscaping and provide curbing and other things so that we kind of focus the students to use that one spot. That's a big concern of ours, because crossing willy-nilly out there doesn't work.
No.
So between landscaping and what we perceive to be other items, you know, where the curb cuts go, et cetera, we're going to try to the best we can to channelize our students to that one spot for crossing.
Okay. So you're certainly tuned into the problem, so that's great.
Thank you.
Maybe one of those stop for pedestrians and crosswalk signs as well. Or, I don't know if that's needed or not. But
The DOT doesn't like that, do they?
They don't like that.
We're working, we're trying to come up with some innovative things, because the problem is, as you probably all know, that's a corridor that's frequently used by people. And the more frequently people use a corridor, the less likely they are to pay attention to the signs. So we're trying to come up with an innovative way, whether it's a flashing sign or a lighted sign or something, so that it serves as a continuing reminder so people don't become too comfortable.
Something to make it visible.
That's correct.
Great. Okay.
You have any idea what's going to go on with the old, what would you call it, junk pile in the back? Is that getting sold off or anything? You know anything?
As far as I know, it's not for sale, and they're still operating.
You mean the scrap
They're
metal?
still operating?
Yeah, we put a fence up because people were dumping on our land.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
If they're not open, they're going to leave it for you.
Yeah. If their gate was closed, somebody would just throw their junk onto Marist property.
I didn't realize they were still operating.
Oh, yeah.
That's the metal plant.
The metal plant.
Thank you.
Fire.
So I move the planning board declare its intent to be the lead agency to coordinate the environmental review of the proposed project as an unlisted action. Whereas the planning department circulation of a notice of said intent, a copy of the AF, and a copy of the applications to the identified involved agency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I move the planning board defer further action on this application pending establishment of a lead agency and direct the applicant to respond to comments of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies, including but not limited to the following. And you have a list here of 1, 2, and 11. 1 through 11. And anything that we discussed tonight. It's been seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Application number, plan review number 3, Marist College 51 Fulton redevelopment. Planning board to declare lead agency intent regarding a site plan for a change of use and renovation of 51 Fulton Street to accommodate office, classroom, and studio space. Site modifications to 51 and adjoining 57 Fulton Street, a pedestrian improvements in the Fulton Street right-of-way and campus sidewalk connections to the south 40 Fulton Street. 51, 57, and 40 Fulton Street zoned FC Fairview Center and IN Institutional District 5.6 acres unlisted action Marist Real Property Services Inc. owner. And we've discussed that. Anybody have any questions about this particular that we haven't already discussed?
We just did.
Okay. So I move that the planning board declare its intent to be the lead agency to coordinate the environmental review of the proposed project as an unlisted action and authorize the planning department to circulate a notice of said intent, a copy of the AF, and a copy of the application to the identified involved agencies.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I move the planning board defer further action on this application pending establishment of a lead agency and direct the applicant to respond to comments of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies, including but not limited to the following, 1 through 16, and anything that we discussed this evening. Been moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
We will see you on the 20th. If you have any questions, please call. I know you will. Good presentation. Plan review number 4, Sheraton lot line revision. Lot line revision review for lot line revision of a proposed conveyance of 1.28 acres to a residential parcel from a vacant parcel in common ownership, 8 Kingwood Park and Kingwood Park. Zoned R20 residence, single family, 20,000 square feet, district 1.18 acres and 3.3 acres. Unlisted actions, James D. Sheraton, owner.
I'm Mr. Sheridan.
Hello. I'm going to jump right to Eric. Does he have anything you want to say?
He was here.
Do you want to? Oh, there's somebody.
Good evening. I'm Kay Commissar from the Surveyor's Office. I'm with James Sheridan, who is the property owner. Before we start, I'm going to pass out some copies of some revisions we've made to the map based on comments that we received. And I've got the revised map hanging up on the board.
We have to do lead. Better than. We have to do lead agency for these? That's all we can do tonight. Okay.
They won't break. Okay, can you see, Brian? All right, yeah. Thank you.
You might need zoning board involved here.
Thank you. That's it.
You think they may need it? So, give me glasses.
Reason? What was the reason?
Okay, Mr. Sheridan is the owner of 2 properties in Kingwood Park. They adjoin each other. One is his residence, and the other is a vacant parcel that adjoins it. He is proposing to move the property line within the vacant lot to enhance the size of his home parcel. It will decrease the size of the vacant parcel to, I believe, 2.03 acres. Okay, is there a trick?
It says, right? That's where the house is.
You got it.
Okay,
You got to flip. Is the switch on? Is this?
It's not on.
You got to turn a. There's a switch somewhere.
Just slide it up there. There you go. Push it up. That's it. Okay. So the remaining vacant piece will contain 2.03 acres.
Just orient us. Route 9 is on the left.
Okay, Route 9 is over here. This is South Road.
Kingwood
This is
Drive.
Kingwood Park going in, Kingwood Park Road. There are 3 properties between his house parcel and where the vacant lot comes back out onto Kingwood Park.
Okay.
Same one. Okay.
His existing property right now, though, is
The existing property line right now is right along this faint dotted line. That's the line that will be extinguished.
okay. So
And the new
that's,
property line will move over here.
Gotcha.
okay.
The exit is.
I got confused with the definition of Lot 1.
Okay, we've also changed some of the terminology on the map here to make that a bit more clear. Mr. Sheridan's existing house parcel is parcel A. Lot 1 from a previous subdivision map that was prepared between Sheridan's property and IBM property was labeled Lot 1. That Lot 1 is now going to be separated into parcel B, which will become attached to Mr. Sheridan's existing parcel A, and the remaining portion, parcel C, will be the new vacant lot.
The access to the vacant lot is over on Kingwood Park?
Yes,
Over there?
it has frontage on Kingwood Park.
The access to the other one is right off of Kingwood Drive?
And this is Kingwood, well, it's also called Kingwood Park Drive.
Okay, right. It just says you come in off Route 9.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
And it's actually at the corner of Route 9. There was a question in the comments that we got back from the zoning department about whether or not parcel C would be flag lot. So we've put in a building envelope, and I had a discussion with the zoning administrator this morning relative to the lot length at the front setback line. She agreed that there's definitely room there that a house could be built, not that we feel anybody would do that, but because there is room, she considers that this is not a flag lot.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my
We need
concern,
to get
how much frontage is on the road there.
Talk with her about that.
We'll get that in writing from her if that's in.
I'm sorry?
We will get that in writing from her if
Yes.
that's
Mhm.
not that I doubt what you said, but we need to get that from her. Okay.
I'll entertain any other questions that you may have.
All right, well, let me go to Eric first and let me see what staff has to say, and then we'll have questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, this revised map would appear to be a good start at addressing the comments in the review letter to the board this evening. We're all seeing it for the first time. That's a great start. So the recommendation for tonight is in those comments, and staff is recommending, because of the ambiguity about the lot dimensions and the nature of the transaction, rather than simply postpone the action, the recommendation was, since the need for a zoning board variance was uncertain, and at least at this point still is uncertain according to the zoning administrator's written comments that we have so far, I was recommending that the board go ahead and declare lead agency, because that way, if zoning board approval is needed, they've already taken care of that. And if zoning board approval is not needed, then it doesn't matter. Rather than burn up an extra month, if it turns out that if we don't want to find out in a month that it does need zoning board approval and then declare lead agency.
Exactly.
So that'll save a month. So the idea is, the recommendation is for the board to go ahead and declare lead agency now, and then make the plan changes, return them to staff for review, get the zoning administrator to confirm the measurements, and then hopefully the board can take action.
In April. Right, once the lead agency period is, the 30 days have gone.
Yeah. So I would just ask that when you resubmit this, give us a response to the comments so that the board can also see can understand the changes that have been made without having to hunt for them.
Thank you. Any questions, Rocco? Anything from you? It's
about 100 feet.
No.
Brian?
I think I'm okay right now. No.
Good. Peter?
I just have one question, because these maps are very difficult to read. What is the frontage on parcel C?
The frontage on parcel C is 111.72 feet.
Thanks. Thank you.
Where is that?
Yep.
It's on the chart to the left. Right here, Pete. That's this up here. I think it's this.
Parcel C is to the
Parcel
right.
C.
Right, this is parcel C here.
C here, new C.
Right.
But which frontage you were talking about? The one on?
I assume you're talking.
On Kingwood Park.
Kingwood Park?
That chart's different than what I have.
Yeah, because here it shows about 104.
There's something missing on that copy.
That's the new one.
This is the new one.
This is the old one.
Right.
Setback line, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the?
That 111 is over that.
11 goes here?
This is
111 is at the front end of
10.01
the road.
and then 101.71.
It's between those two is 10 feet, I guess. Okay. It's just 101, and then there's 10 feet here. Okay.
Carl,
Yeah, I mean, that was my question also. I think, wasn't our town code about 75 feet needed to become a buildable lot?
The frontage requirement for this district is 100 feet.
100 feet.
Oh, 100 feet, okay, so it just makes it.
Yeah. We'll get a definite determination from the zoning administrator.
But the zoning administrator's concern was also, since the lot becomes it's 111 feet at the frontage, but it gets narrower as it comes in, which without a the plan initially submitted did not have a dimension, so it was something less than 111. And if it became less than 100 feet at, in the front, if it became less than 100 feet, then it would be a flag lot.
Yeah, I think it's 100.
But she's showing now that it's 104 feet, and I'd just like to have the zoning administrator verify that.
Back line there.
Yeah, that's correct.
As long as-
Okay,
as
anything
long
else?
as they agree.
Anything else, Carl?
No, that's it.
Ben, anything? Nope. You're good? Okay.
Hold on.
Want to make a motion?
No, I haven't asked my question yet.
Oh.
You the gentleman that has the windsock out on your property? Yeah. I've always wondered, do you have a plane back there too?
My neighbor used to, but no, I don't.
Really? How about that? Terrific, thank you. I'm good.
He kept the plane back there, really?
He was Captain Miller, the pilot.
Oh.
Pilot.
Okay.
He's since deceased.
All right.
But he flew a plane in and out of there a couple times, years and years ago. Long before the road was so wide and the power line.
Interesting. That's a little bit of history. There you go. That's great. Thank you. I move the planning board declares intent to be the lead agency to coordinate the environmental review, proposed project as non-listed action, direct the planning department to notify the involved agency of its intent by circulating a notice of said intent, copy of the EAF, and a copy of the application of the identified involved agencies.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Move the planning board defer action on this application pending establishment of the lead agency and direct the applicant to respond to comments of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies are not limited to the following 1 through 7. Do I have a second?
Second.
And seconded. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you in April.
Thank you.
Okay. C, numbers.
Okay, so you'll follow up and make a submittal by Monday with the responses
Yes.
and multiple copies of the map for the April agenda by the 27th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 5, plan review, 668 Dutchess Turnpike facade improvements. Architectural review of proposed facade improvements, 668 Dutchess Turnpike Zone, BN Neighborhood Business District, 1.15 acres, type 2 action, Rocket Dog LLC owner.
Rocket Dog.
Kelly Leibold.
Darren Page.
I just want to say, too, that I've been coming here for 25 years, so this is a tough night, I'm sure, for everyone. So big
You feel
shoes
the
to fill
pressure?
for Rich. Yeah, it was just very, very difficult. He was a great chair when you were gone, Mr. Chairman, and very, very difficult. So this particular project is owned by Rocket Dog, Darren Page. I think everyone knows where this project is. It's when you're going up Brickyard Hill towards Adams. It's on the right. Historically, this has been a very, very difficult building to rent for a number of reasons. Just the location, the architecture, the property lines, because it's on the hill. So it's kind of been plagued with some challenges. Darren has finally been able to get a great tenant in here, which is the gym. It's a fitness center. And they've asked if they can partake in doing a facade renovation for the project, for the property, in coordination with Darren, to try to just spruce up the front of the building. And I think what they're proposing is fantastic. It's really taking the building, it's an industrial building, so it's giving it more of a metal theme to it. Does everyone have their 11 by 17s, the color that I gave you? Okay. I should have given you an existing photo. I don't know if you guys did a site visit.
Now it's etched in my mind.
Okay. I'm sure Mike McCormick would do a far better job than I'm going to do, but I'm going to try to wing it, so we'll do the best that I can. So there's first a couple of architectural modifications to the building. The columns right now are just volley columns. So
Actually, we do
they're
have an
ugly.
old picture.
Oh, you have it? Oh, fantastic.
You got a color version?
I did. I'm the chairman.
Oh.
You should all have street pictures in your
He's
packet.
special, so he deserves it. So they're gonna face these lolly columns with block. so it'll be comparable to the balance of the building. The second thing is just to provide some definition to this building. It's just very flat, and so they're going to provide this architectural treatment in the front that will be faced with metal. So those are the two real structural modifications to the building. The rest of them are just architectural. The existing building is primarily stone, so they're going to go ahead and paint that stone black.
Black.
Must have a lot of black paint left over.
Black. Good thing.
Kim Ryan took this out. So it's just, I'm going to give all of these to Carol. So this is just a black, and I'm saving you from a board tonight. I'm giving them to you in an envelope, so you don't have to carry that back.
Why
so
black?
That's just the black.
Good thing the address isn't 666 then, if you're painting it black.
Stop. I'm so superstitious. That's such a bad number.
There probably is no 666.
Okay, secondly is the back of the building, the lower level, that flat piece, is going to be coated with an ephes material. And that's this. So we'll pass that around.
Why black?
It gives it, I don't know, Kim Ryan picked the colors, the architect. So I think it gives it more of a, everyone's doing that industrial sort of steel look. And when you tie it in with this front, this is going to be a metal front. It's like a metal siding. And then all the windows, everyone does the black mullions and the black trim now. So all the windows are going to get that black treatment. And then, if Marvin were here, he would just love this. But they're going to top it with a red, just a coping on the top, just to tie into that sign.
Marvin would want the whole
Marvin
building
would
that
love
color.
this. He would call it the racing stripe.
Can we get some neon behind that, perhaps?
We could. Do you want it to look like Golden Corral?
Not quite as.
Okay. No. So this is the color for the metal windows. And that's really it. The sign, they're going to have to come in and get permits for the sign individually from the zoning department.
What's on the right? IES?
Yeah, that's IES is a IT company. So that's it, unless anyone has any questions.
So you're not proposing any exterior illumination on the building? Or?
No, you're not going to
No.
do any lighting.
Okay.
No. There's 3 sides, so they'll do 3 sides of the building. The back, no one ever sees.
What are the hours of this?
The gym?
What are the hours?
No, they're open early. You go by at 4.
I think I think they're like 6 to 10, maybe.
It's open earlier.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what's
He's been in there. He's been in there forever at the gym. Determined.
Yeah.
I think what's surrounding that area is it just the Love Oil thing across the
That's
street?
it. The view from the windows is the old Love Road.
Across the street, and then up from that was the old window.
I think anything you do here is up.
Right.
Sorry?
Anything we do with this thing is up.
Positive. Yeah,
You're absolutely
that's
right.
what I wanted to say, but
It's-
he won't let me say that.
Why not?
It's always been tough.
Who owned this before? How long have you owned this?
The ownership came through marriage, believe it or not. The building
Here we go.
belongs.
Now everyone's going to get the whole family history.
The building belongs to my adopted children, and it's controlled by my wife's deceased husband's family.
So you asked.
Yeah. So. Wow. Yeah.
Good.
Great.
Any more questions? Anyone?
Is there any landscaping to be?
There's virtually no place
I know.
to do
Is there any place
it.
to put? Can we put some?
Absolutely no place
You
to put
can't.
landscaping.
It faces due north. Everything dies.
There's no room there.
I know.
Nothing.
There's no
is-
fun
How
there.
about artificial? Fake. Okay, I'm good with it.
It's asphalt.
Good. I move that we accept this as presented.
Are you going to call it the Bat Cave?
Maybe a roof cut.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the question.
The question
All
is.
those in favor?
Approved.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Do it.
Aye. Okay, we got it.
Aye.
Thank you.
The next one.
Wow.
He knows exactly who I'm talking
Well, it
about.
may help in the winter, to absorb heat. Yeah, is this all 4 sides?
3.
What's the back?
The way it is. No one can see it. It's all treed in the back, and the houses are up much higher.
Does it need a cleanup at all, or any kind of a paint or?
I'll take a look at it. It might need something just to
I mean, you
maintain
can
the
do
lawn.
3. You might. If it's just a painting,
No, you're right.
just to clean it up.
If it's starting to deteriorate, it might be a good idea.
Can we do that?
62, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It was originally the post office, I understand, at one point.
I seem to remember something like that. It was Brickyard Hill up there and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Love Oil across the street.
I think the Shear family built it. Leftover steel from the World's Fair, my father tells me.
Doubt it.
Wow. That was a fun fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Shut it
guys.
down. Shut the mic off.
Thank you.
What do you got, a deer in the back seat?
My kids need to eat. I have to go home and get their dinner.
Go over to Popeyes.
Take care.
Golden Corral's open late.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Just figured I'd tell her. I don't know. They still open?
Yes.
They were 10 minutes ago.
Speaking of Love Road,
Okay, right. Speaking of Love Road Brownfield remediation land contour time extension of a conditionally approved land contour permit for removal of of contaminated soil import and landfill of clean soil required by Brownfield program. 20 to 50 Love Road, Zone BH, Highway Business, 4.6 acres. Negative declaration was adopted on April 17, 2014. Herbert H. Riddle, owner.
That
So-
was back in 2014 that we approved this thing, right?
Well, you know, this stuff goes
It's a couple of
slowly.
years.
I know. Okay, so the applicants requested a one-year extension of land contour permit for this project
well, thank you.
that was conditionally approved April 17, 2014 for 1 year and been extended forward to April 17, 2017.
Where you going?
So I
from?
move the planning board grant a one-year time extension of the conditionally approved land contour permit from April 17, 2017 forward to April 17, 2018.
Question.
I thought
There was a brownfield associated with that as well, wasn't there?
Yes, there was, and I actually, the reason they've extended it is because they were doing additional testing and for the DEC, for the cleanup. And what they found was that the concentrations, what Frank told us was that they found that the concentrations were decreasing over time.
You're going
No, the concentrations of bad stuff the measurements were going down over time.
They wait long enough
And that
to
was, well, it resulted, the thought was that it would actually change the amount of fill that they'd have to bring in at a significant difference in work and expense. So that's why they actually, I checked with the DEC, and they actually sent me the remediation plan, and they acknowledged that it's changing.
Okay, got it. Anyway, I call the question. Can I vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 7-0.
I'll make a motion, guys.
Which
I got one more. I got one more thing.
Remediation to be done.
But the remediation is being overseen by DEC. For the town approval concerns the land contour, the filling operation. So it's possible when they get, once their work plan is all set, they may modify the fill to be less than what they proposed.
Okay, so they got to finish that before they can make the contour change, right?
They need to finalize their work plan with DEC, yes.
Where I was after.
Okay.
Rich told me to ask that.
All right, I got one more item. Tinkelman, 33 Arlington. They want to get started with the area across from the building. They're doing the parking lot. Same situation, the trees. I just want to make a motion that they can take down the trees, cut and drop, no ripping out, before March 31st of 2017, before the period of the Indiana Pets.
second.
Okay?
Before which date? The March 31st?
March 31st.
That's good.
That's what he asked for, so that's what we're gonna. So we got a second, call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, in that case, I will make a motion that we terminate the meeting. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.